Crkt Protein is a complete anomaly here in Western New York, and when I first stumbled on the business a few months ago, while I was prepping for the Village of Springville episode, like most people that first come upon it, I was taken back by what I was looking at. Well, that is until Nick introduced himself and told me all about the shop, his business, and his overall ideology, and what's driving him to make a much-needed difference in the world of agriculture, health, and the environment. Nick is really one of a kind, and it takes people like him to look at the future of where we're headed as a society and charge headlong into it with their infectious enthusiasm, endless drive and energy, and the will to see their vision through to the benefit of us all. How did this whole thing start with you? Like, take me back to the Crkt, the Crkt's inception. Like, where did this idea come from?
It came right down to my health. I had a real bad back surgery. I was never supposed to walk again. I mean? I had I got 2 rods, 6 pins in my spine. You know what I mean? And I had to and then I was like everybody else. I was stuck in the pharmaceuticals.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just wasn't working out. So I had to come up with something different. You know what I mean? But I was still young enough. So then I did my research, and I went out to Colorado, and I went to a cricket farm. And it was for reptiles. But once I saw the benefits of eating crickets, and then 80% of the world's eating them, I came back to New York, and believe it or not, I just started growing them. I started growing them in my basement.
So, but when you went to the reptile, but why were you there? Was it for like your diet? Was it a dietary thing, and somebody tipped you off on it, and then you're like,
It didn't tip me off. The biggest thing was protein. I was told that you got to have the best protein you can possibly get.
I see.
You know what I mean? And then, crickets are 70% protein by volume.
Right.
70%. Nothing even comes close. So once you get that, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with beef or chicken. Don't get me wrong. It's just that you can't beat a cricket. You know?
No. Well, the nature of how you grow it, how you store it, how you keep it, how you can distribute it, the variety of products that you can make, how long it'll store on the shelf, right? All that stuff is just a game changer, right?
Yep, shelf-stable, doesn't go bad. You know what I mean? More protein than beef and chicken. It's got fiber in it. The only protein that has fiber. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got all the minerals that it's awesome.
So now, you go out to Colorado, you're looking for whatever reason that you're there, but you're investigating your dietary intake, how you can supplement and get a healthier protein. And so you end up at this reptile breeders, and they're feeding them crickets, and one thing led to another, and that sparked your idea. So you come back to New York. But how did you get this whole thing ramped up? I mean, it's just like such a leftist center business here. I don't think it's very odd in some areas, but here, and it's not even that it's odd. You're just a forerunner here, and it's such a future-forward business and such a future-forward mindset that it's just amazing that you came back, here, and you were just like, okay, I'm going to do this. So what was your first inception of this? Like, was it just in your kitchen, making products for yourself?
Well, basically, what I started doing was I started raising them in the basement of my house. You know what I mean? Just like anybody else would. But, I mean, I started raising them like that was going out of style. I mean, I started raising totes full of them. I mean, 10,000 a time.
Oh my gosh!
But then I had to figure out a way to make it for human consumption.
Right.
So believe it or not, I knew I could dehydrate them, and I knew that was the only way you were going to get them for human consumption.
Okay.
So I dehydrate them. I did all my readings, all my calculations, and believe it or not, I called Cornell University, the food venture.
Okay.
Yep. And I asked them. I said, "This is what I got. This is what I want to do." And believe it or not, they laughed at me, but they helped.
Cornell laughed at you.
Yeah, because he goes, that's pretty crazy. Because, nobody's doing it.
Just because it's right, because it's so forward, right?
It's so forward. I mean, yeah. And they were happy to help because nobody else is doing it. So right. we're the first and only farm in New York State.
Wow, in the entire state.
That's the registered farm, and we sell our product right there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And everything that we do now is tested through Cornell. I send my product out. Yep. Every new recipe or every old recipe gets sent to them 4 times a year. That was my request because I wanted to make sure that we're the first ones that the next guy coming in there has to meet our standards. I want the best standards that we
Sure.
can for the people.
Well,
you know?
but what about? Well, we'll get into that later. But I know Cornell's overall mindset would be perfect for you. You know, I mean, the
Yep.
population there. So, so now you're breeding them in your basement. I have a silly question, but how did you sleep, man? Weren't they just like
No,
going all night?
The thing is, they're different ages, so they're not all adults.
Oh,
But you don't have that many. You know what I mean? You don't
so
have
they're not
that
like
many.
there's not 10,000 crickets croaking in your basement.
No. But the only problem we had was the house had to be so hot. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They require 86, and it's got to be, the moisture is our enemy, so it's got to be dry.
You know, that's a script for a movie, right?
Yeah.
It's kind
Yeah.
of crazy. So you had to have your house, at least your basement at 86 degrees continually?
Yeah, so you know how it is. If your basement's at 86, your house is at 90.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I mean?
because heat rises, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, so and believe it or not, and this is, I can't explain it, but I never quit. I don't know why. You know what I mean?
Well, you're on a mission.
I had nobody to sell it to. I had no customers, but for some reason I didn't quit. But then once I got Cornell and we got the thing where we could get it, where I actually got it so I could dehydrate it, I had to send it to Cornell to get the moisture contents right so I could make it shelf stable.
I see.
Once I got the shelf stable, I knew that's it. I can do whatever I want now. You know what I mean? Once it's shelf stable, the moisture content is all right. It's not going to mold, and it will last forever. You know what I mean? The sky is the limit.
So
Then I knew
that
I
was
had
your
it.
first hurdle then.
That was
and
the
were
first
thinking,
hurdle.
But you were thinking, were you thinking to market like basically right away? So when you started breeding them in your basement, obviously you weren't breeding those just for you. You were thinking, okay, I'm gonna just do this business, and you felt compelled to do this no matter what. So you hooked up with Cornell. You're working with Cornell. You're getting the dehydration level down, so the moisture content is proper
Yep.
for long-term shelf storage, and you get
Yep.
that. And then, like, okay, now what do you do? All right.
Okay, so then I did that. And then I said, how do I sell this? And they said, Nick, you got to have a facility. I mean, you got to have a commercial kitchen.
Right.
They won't let you. You know what I mean? So then I had to call the state, and then I called the state agriculture, and they laughed at me. What the frick? We have no idea what
dude,
to
that's
do.
crazy. Everybody, I wouldn't think the state or Cornell would be so chagrined about the idea. I thought they would be more like open to
The
it.
state was tough because they just said, we have nothing. We don't even know where to start with you.
You created a new market.
Exactly. So they gave me an inspector, and she has never left me.
Wow.
Because it makes her, she's the first and only one that inspects cricket farms now. So I made her, but she, you know what I mean? She stayed beside me,
Sure.
and we kept asking the questions. We kept asking what we needed to have. You know what I mean? But at this time, I didn't have that kind of money. So
Right.
I was running a church in Elkville.
Get out.
running the church.
So you were managing
Yeah.
a church?
Yeah, because a church, they keep up their commercial kitchen license.
Oh,
Most
you were,
churches
right,
do.
right. So you were running the cricket recipes, but you weren't making them for the public yet. You were just getting your approval, correct?
Yes, yeah, but I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted a protein bar. You know what I mean? Like everybody else, I wanted to come out with a bar first.
Sure.
So I had to, and then so I was running this kitchen. I had to get it state inspected, and once I got it state inspected, then it didn't take off. Believe me, I got a long ways to go.
I could only
But-
imagine. So all right. So this girl hangs in with you. You're making the stuff in the kitchen, and your first concept for this is, and it is an obvious one because you need something quick, portable, easy to sell, easy to store, easy to distribute. So a bar is a natural choice. So you've got the bar, and you're working on the bar. You've got your kitchen. It's a church kitchen, and you got this awesome girl from the state who's helping you out, which is really, she was a godsend for you because I would imagine some guys would have been like, dude, I don't even know. I'm just not even going to deal with this. I'm swamped. You know what I mean? I'm not going to take this on.
Yeah.
Or they'll just kind of jerk you around for a while. But she actually like ponied up right away with you.
And she's still my inspector to this day.
That's great. So you had an advocate.
She stayed with me through the church, to everything. You know what I mean? She's been through it all, and she likes it because it just makes her resume look great too. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And there was a lot of problems we had. We didn't know what.
Well, yeah, because you're learning as you go, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing here. And the first product I did was I did a meal replacement bar and a granola.
Okay.
That was my first two products. And the first two products, what I wanted to do was hit the outdoorsman. I wanted to hit the hiker, the backpacker, just because I thought that.
Well, that's your core constituency, right? I mean, that's your market.
Yep. And then believe it or not, once I get going and I started making these, I got my packaging. I actually wrote an email to a gentleman in Montana, but he bought 1,500 units.
Whoa! Just bought them to distribute them, or bought them just?
Yes.
Okay.
He bought them because he does like a prescription. Like a prescription box.
Okay.
You know, like
the monthly subscription boxes. Sure, that's a good idea. Yeah. Right.
And he goes, dude, we've been waiting for a product like this. He goes, this is exactly what people are looking for.
Yeah, because it's a surprise, right? When you get to your box, you don't know what's in it, and then that's super interesting to have in there, and they're delicious as they are anyway. So.
Yep. So that was my first big sale. You know what I mean? I didn't make a lot, you know what I mean? But you're in the box, so you don't get full price. But it didn't matter that way. I was just excited to.
Sure, it's great promotion. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent him the bar. He tasted it. He loved it. And you know what I mean? It's only got 9 ingredients in it, and it's 45 grams of protein.
Wow. Holy cow. Yeah, well, that's probably his customer, that's your main primary market, you know, somebody like that they're willing, because those are people that are early adopters. They're willing to take the chance on the product, right? And they're looking for stuff like that, which is why they would subscribe to that. So once you got that, then you kind of, you're like, okay, we're good. We can do this. We're selling. I can sell this, right?
I can sell this, but now what? You know what I mean? Because now you gotta upskill everything. You know what I mean? Now you know you got something. Is the world ready for it though?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a tough sell.
Dude, it is. It is. It's a real tough sell. But it's not. Well, I don't know. I mean, it is a tough sell, yes. But by the same token, you've done such a good job with the packaging. The product's delicious. It's a clean-looking product too. It's everything that you don't think it's going to be. Right?
Exactly. And when they come and test it, you know what I mean? Once they eat, they're like, oh my God, this is nothing like we expected.
No, and that's the same thing like with your cookies and stuff. Like I just don't think people are. See, you know what it is? As a society, we're not pushed to the wall yet. And people only act, and really, the true change only comes in desperate moments with society. It's no different with anything. Like during the 2008 recession, when I was out in California, I was living up in the hills, up in Sacramento and in the ag counties, and everybody drove these huge gas guzzling trucks, right? And we drove this. Yeah, we were driving all over Northern California, so we had this little fit. And we took a lot of heat for it, right? But I mean, my gas was nothing. It was a joke. It was like a couple Happy Meals a week. You know, and I'm driving all over Northern California, and and then as soon as that recession hit, our gas was spiking up to like $6.50, $6 a gallon, and all of a sudden, people are dumping their trucks and getting fits. You know, so it's just the human nature that people don't really act until the proverbial crap.
No, you're absolutely right, because we all do it when it comes to our health. We don't make a move until something's wrong. Something's like, the doctor says, dude, you're going to die.
I did
or,
it.
Dude, you got to fix it.
Yeah,
I
did the same thing, man. You know what? You know there's something wrong, right?
Yep.
You know it's wrong. You know it's going to screw you up. It's going to beat the hell out of you. But yet you're just, especially guys, we're so stupid and stubborn sometimes. You're just like, oh, it'll be all right. I'll deal with it. And meanwhile, you're on the floor gasping for air in 3 months. And then you're like, well, that's how you learn your lessons, I suppose. But that we're like that as a society. And you're right on the edge of a product that I think is going to be completely normal in like a decade or so.
Yeah, and I believe it too. And it's not just the health benefits; it's environmental. You know what I mean? It's the environmental too. We don't need any room.
Yep.
I don't need any land. We can go vertical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our facility is 1,200 square foot building, and then we do 2,700 pounds of Crkt Protein powder out of that facility. Wow. That's more protein. That's more protein than 20 beef cows in 1 year.
Wow.
With no tractors, no fencing, no. I mean, you've seen the facility.
Well, well, see, that's what it is. And I told you this when I met you. I think you're just brilliant because that you knew enough that you're like, look, if we break this down into a product that's easily easy to wrap your head around and it's not so intimidating, then we have something. It's only because, like I said, I went to that health food store, and of all the people you would think that would be open to that, this lady was like, "Oh, I could never eat a cricket," and I was like, "Dude, your whole
Yep.
store is this beautiful, organic, holistic
Yep.
thing, but yet you won't eat a cricket." And then I
She,
told her about the powder, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I would do that."
yep. She stops every week now.
Oh, that's awesome, dude! You hooked up with her.
Yep.
Yeah,
No,
a Taliban.
no, she buys for herself.
Oh, she buys it for herself. She doesn't distribute it at the store. Is she going to put it in her store?
She did put some in the store, but the same thing. Once it's in the store, that's where we have a real big conflict because she can't sell it for me. You know what I mean? She doesn't know the information.
I know right.
It's tough to put it on the shelf, and that's where that's why I like the farmers market, stuff like that, because even my store, because once you come in there, I can explain it to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I'm not there, it's a real tough sell.
Yeah, I'm happy that you did that, dude. She's a good lady, that lady.
I love her. She comes every week and buys product.
That's so cool. Yeah, Taliban is her name. Yeah, she's super cool. And but like I said, I thought that she would be, and she was like, "Oh, I could never eat a cricket." But look see, now she's a regular customer because you've made it accessible to everyone.
And the other thing is too, like we talked, it's shelf stable, but what you can do with it, you can still have your normal foods. Like we're doing oatmeal, we're doing waffles, we're doing bagels, we're doing cookies. You know what I mean? I have women that come in and bring me bread that they bake.
Oh wow!
You know what I mean?
How did that? Did you tasted it? Yes. How was it?
Oh yeah, they did like a zucchini. The one did a zucchini. The one did banana. I mean, it was delicious. You can't taste the cricket in it.
And see, that's the power of the because it's a base food product. And, and you're attacking the industry in the right way. It's a completely sea change. Like, I totally do. I picture you on Shark Tank, like giving them cookies and pizza crust and bread, because you would walk out, and because this is just an indication of how it would be normally. Like, you walk out, there's 5 people on a panel, and the first thing you do is introduce, like, you hold like a cricket in your hand, right? And then everybody kind of scowls at it. And then you bring out the food, they taste it, and they're like, "This is amazing." And then you tell them, "Look, I'm changing the nature of what it means to farm these raw ingredients as far as the raw materials that we need from the earth. This is a completely different approach, and it will really save just millions of acres and billions of gallons of water and energy. And that's, I think, where your strength is."
Yeah, it could change the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it could change. I mean, you've seen a product line, and it's just getting bigger.
That's awesome.
We can have. I mean, our goal is to have a whole variety of foods that you can get through the day, and not even worry about your protein level. You're not worried about. You know what I mean? You're getting it in all your food. Your protein's there.
Well, you could do bread, right? You could do cookies, bread, bars, anything that you could make with a flour. You can make with the cricket.
Well, then you go simple. You can still do your shakes. You can still do your smoothies.
Right.
You can put it
into powder. Yeah.
Yep. You can do anything.
So,
you know what I mean?
So now, but let's circle back. So you're like, now you get this order for these bars. You still don't have a place though, a facility. You're working out of the kitchen in the church still. And then this guy places this big order. When did you, cause your facility's beautiful. Like I tell people about it all the time. I mean, it's all stainless steel. It's the cleanest like restaurant you could ever want to visit. I mean, the kitchen's spotless and you have a beautiful little front room there, but how did that happen?
That was okay. So when I was doing all this, renting the church, trying to get this bar going, I still had to have a normal job. So I always built houses or did remodeling.
Okay.
I already had my own company. Well, I was doing this cabin for this gentleman, and when I did this, I made a couple shirts up that say "I eat crickets" across the front of them. So he asked me, "What do you mean by that?"
Right.
I said, "Well, this is what I do on the side." I said, I raise crickets and we sell them for human consumption. I got a bar and a granola, He goes, "You're kidding me, right?"
Sideways. Yeah.
Yeah. So believe it or not, he got a hold of channel 7 that Ed. I can't think of his last name.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about. Right.
He's friends with him.
Okay.
So these guys, there was like 5 guys came to my house to see my operation.
No kidding.
And then once he saw my operation, he called me back within like a month and said, "What do you think about doing this for real? Let's build a facility."
Wow. You're kidding. So this guy, see, I don't know if you ever told me this before. So he met this guy really just arbitrarily, and then he took an interest, hooked you up with the news, and then swung back around. And really, that's a lot of, I mean, jeepers.
Well, yeah. He got a hold of me. He goes, I got this building in Springville that I found for sale. I need you to look at it. If you think it'll work for what you need, I'm willing to go in with you and let's see if we can pull this off.
Wow. What a cool thing. Yeah, that's amazing.
I looked at the building and I'm thinking, well, I don't know. I've never built one. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I know what the state required. You know what I mean?
Well,
and I know
you're
what
a contractor, right?
Yep. So I know what the state required, and then I know what the state required for inspection because I've been getting the church inspected.
Okay.
So we had that covered. We knew we had to have a storefront because you're in the village. That's just part of the deal. And we had to go talk to the village to see if they wanted a couple million crickets.
Yeah, right. So what was that reaction? The same as everybody else?
Same as everybody else. They just looked at you like, yeah. And then they all said, go for it.
Oh, that's awesome, though. So they were supportive then, right out of the gate. They didn't understand it, but they were just like, you know what? Go ahead, go for it, right?
Yep. It's a new concept. Well, and Springville was excited because we're the first and only ones.
Yeah, but that's what I love about. I finished my Springville episode, and I kind of like alluded to that with the whole episode because it's and that's why I love doing my show because everybody misinterprets these places, man. And it's so weird. We're just humans are just lazy, and you'll just listen to your brother-in-law or you listen to your friend say some really screwed up thing about a place or a person, and you're just going to take it at face value. And that's what's happened with a lot of these small towns. They've kind of got derided over the last couple decades because somebody might have had a bad experience there, or somebody drove through, or maybe they drove through a different part of the town, or maybe they just don't understand it, or they just don't even care and they're just being jerks. But Springville is so not what I've heard it was. It's a beautiful town. There's a lot of people there that are doing super good work, and it's totally on the up. So that's really fascinating that for a small town. But you know what? When let's even take a step back with that. It's an ag town, and you're a producer.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too that you got to understand that we're the next generation of farming.
Yep.
We are a licensed farm. You know what I mean? It's Tulalip Cricket Farms. We're a licensed farm, just like a beef farm or a vegetable farm. We're identical.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Now, listen, I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks, and I figured I'll touch bases on this when we do the podcast here. So, is there a way? Because there's a lot of countries that this is part of the regular diet, right?
Yep.
Is there a way that you can distribute? Because are they utilizing cricket powder as flour and as an ingredient in a lot of stuff? Could you distribute your products over there?
Yes. And most, the powder is the best way. You know what I mean?
Because it'll ship, it'll hold, it can take the temperature differentials, it can take all of that.
Yeah, exactly. You can ship it anywhere you want.
So you could actually have it. Literally, even though you've got your facility here and you've got your store, you could distribute this to the countries that are already. Because what I'm saying is, you got to build your own market here, right? So you've got to find the early adopters, get them converted, then get them as kind of just as your pulpit to spread the good word about that. But at the same side of this, there's countries that are already eating this product on a regular daily basis that you could take your product and just pipeline it right into those countries.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure the regs and rules are a pain, but once you get over the bureaucracy, you could really make a killing that way and do really good for the environment and the planet.
Yeah, and take it one step further. What about the homeless in our country?
Right.
You can make a cookie that's got all the nutrition in it they ever wanted.
Right, and
you can, you know what I'm saying? You can make a product that the product that doesn't look like it's healthy, but it is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I think it was brilliant. I told you, man, the second I saw your business, I walked in, I was like, this guy is totally brilliant. Like what you're doing, how you're doing it, the fact that you're sticking to it, and how you're utilizing previous skills, with your you're learning and growing, and you're creating this market here. It's just amazing. So all right, so now you've got your bars, you've got your church thing. Now you're getting your building going because you've got this partner.
Yeah.
And so, how long did that take? Was that like a pain because nobody knew? Like, okay, because I'm sure, like you
Yep.
said, everybody who called for a license or a permit was like, "What? What are you doing?"
Yeah, it was. You know what I mean? But the thing is that COVID hit too when we were building it.
Oh, that's right. Right, I remember you were telling me
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But in our sense, it helped us because it gave us more time. You know,
Right.
we could get things right. You know what I mean? It just, you know what I mean? You got to remember, I was selling a Cricket, nobody knew what it was anyway.
That's what I mean. Right. Right. So it allowed you kind of take a breath while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So you didn't
Because
feel
it's-
so rushed.
Yeah. Because this whole project, up to that point, they've been in my basement for 5 years up to that point.
Thank God.
Yeah. And like I told you at the beginning, I don't know why I didn't give up. I don't know. You know, I mean, we weren't making any money, but it was never the point. You know, I was eating them every day.
Right.
I mean, I was screwing around, making different. I knew what I wanted.
Right.
You know, and then once we got the building, and once we got in the building, I mean, you've seen it now. Now it hasn't stopped. I mean, we're not breaking boundaries yet, but nobody knows we're there yet.
Right. Well,
You know what I mean?
and you're getting there, and that's the point. And listen, you are doing something that nobody's ever done before.
The biggest thing is I don't think anybody wants to do it.
Well, that's why I think that your distribution of your raw materials if you can pipeline this into a direct market, into restaurants, into vegan restaurants, into maybe, let's say, other distribution chains in other countries that are already eating this product. There's a whole world out there for you that is, granted, maybe your business here in Western New York might contribute to 15 to 20% of your total net, for the entire year. But by the same token, if you built a distribution business through vegan restaurants, I mean, there's a whole world of vegan and vegetarian out there that are, and granted, this product's not just for vegans and vegetarians, but they're the early adopters for this.
Yeah. When we just, believe it or not, I just sent an email back yesterday. There was a Mexican restaurant that wants our roasted.
Now, here's a question. I just probably contradicted myself. Okay, so if I'm a vegan, am I eating a cricket?
I've heard it. No, I've got it both ways. The one vegan that came to the building, he says they can eat them because they're ethically harvested. But I've also had other ones say they can't. So
yeah,
I
didn't even think about it. I just think that it's a super healthy food and it's not meat. But granted, it's still a living, because, there's a quotient of vegan and vegetarianism that's basically just on the ethical basis of hurting a creature, essentially.
Yep, the one gentleman came and he was vegan. He says, no, that's fine because we can eat those because it's ethically harvested. Because a cricket in our farm, it's one of the only animals that get to live their whole life cycle. They're not.
Oh wait, they die naturally?
No, but they live their whole life.
Gotcha. Right. They mature. They can mature,
exactly.
Right.
They mature through the entire, and then then we freeze them, just like in nature. When it gets cold out, they go dormant. At our place, they just don't wake back up.
Right. But okay, so let me backtrack on that then. So even if it was vegan, vegetarian, we can throw that out. I mean, you still have the health food market, you still have the health market, you have the protein market, you have the workout market, right? You have that whole thing. There's so many elements to your business and so many different paths that you can go down with this because of what it is, and because it's such a high protein thing, and you're receiving. It's almost like getting a shot of protein, right?
Yeah. And check this. Like it's 70% protein by volume. So, you know what I mean? So, but the other thing is it's got fiber. You're not getting fiber from chicken or that. It's got more antioxidants than orange juice. It's got more potassium than banana, more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk.
Wow.
And cricket.
That's crazy.
You're not going to beat it.
Right.
I mean, once people find that it's got everything, everything you need.
But is that so? Are those properties inherent in your crickets, or is that inherent in all crickets? In other words,
crickets.
So it is. So it's inherent.
Ours are. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We feed ours alfalfa, organic alfalfa, and we throw in some flexi too, just to bring up the omegas. But
I see.
it's got 10 times more B12 than salmon.
Wow, that's
It's got
incredible.
yeah. So I mean,
So it's like a
cricket.
superfood. It is a superfood.
Exactly. It's a superfood and it's a sustainable food. You get both of them in one.
Right.
It doesn't go bad, and it's a superfood. It's you know what I
Well,
mean.
that's incredible. Well, that's why in these countries, though, and I don't know what country. I mean, you probably do, but I don't know what countries that utilize this as part of their daily diet. But there are a few that this is a staple, and I know they're primarily in Africa, but I'm sure there's some down in South America. There might even be some in
yep.
Asia.
80% of the world is eating insects right now. 80%.
So there you go. Right.
You know what I mean? In most places, they're right on the menu now.
Wow. So this is just a matter. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, so it's typical American. Like, we're so indoctrinated in our ways, right? And we're so stepfordized that we're just like, we want this, we want that, we want this, and then that's what we're doing. And it's hard for us to think differently.
Change is so hard for us.
It is, man. Well, I mean, our whole
No.
ecosphere, our ideologies are all wrapped up in like this commoditized food business, right? And it is a certain category of food, primarily fast food and meat and potato. You know what I mean? Like, we just don't have the mindset for it. But it's changing a lot, thank God, because it has to. And it's just going to be a natural cycle. And you're right at the forefront of this. So yeah. So when you basically, like, when you started this, you have your partner and you open your business, and that was you opened this during the pandemic or right after?
It was a year. It was a year ago at the art crawl. It was a year ago, 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow! So that was your first anniversary.
Yeah, we just had I mean, my partner, they all email me, and I mean, it was our first year.
Well, congratulations, man! I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's I mean, we did it. We're doing something that nobody else has done, and we made it that far. You know what I mean?
That's all. Listen, you're going to be. I told you before. You're going to be totally fine. It's just a matter of getting your market straight and figuring out where. You literally are. I mean, it kind of sucks because you're doing work that if this had been 15 years later, somebody would have trailblazed like you're trailblazing, and you would have said, okay, this is what you do because it's right in front of me. But nobody's doing it, so you got to figure it out. But think about. I mean, it's just fun though in a way, right? I mean, I know it's risky, but there's a element of enjoyment to this because you're creating your own market.
Yeah, and like we talked before, because I went a different route. I wanted to make a food that everybody would enjoy. Not just the roasted cricket that you buy and not chocolate covered crickets. I didn't want that. I wanted you to have something that you could actually eat, you know what I mean? Like a bagel or the bread or the cookies. You know what I mean? Something that people would, part of their diet now.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, where did you come up with the powder recipe? I mean, was that something that you were going to do right because you were making those bars and that constituted the powder, yes?
Yes. Right off the bat, I knew I wanted the powder. I knew I had, I wanted the powder.
And because you knew that, because it's just the diversity of the products that you can make from that are almost unlimited, right?
Yes. And all the research that I have done and the phone calls I have made, they don't recommend eating raw one.
Oh, really?
So that wasn't even so even if I was to sell them to like a restaurant where they want us to pay them or something, that's a different ball game. You know what I mean? That's different. But, I mean, I didn't even want to deal with that. We needed something shelf stable because I knew that's what most people want. They want something fast and easy.
Right. And something they're not,
I mean?
You're trying to break the barrier with that too. You know what I mean? You're trying to break the public perception of what it is.
Yep. And what's the number one protein right now on the market besides it's that whey protein? But if you got a problem with dairy, you're screwed.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Whey is the only thing that even comes close to cricket.
But it's not. It probably isn't really even close because there's probably so many of a different variety of vitamins and minerals.
There's so many additives and everything else they got to do to make it taste good. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. And we sell that. You've seen our powder is straight cricket.
Yep.
There's no additives, no nothing. It's just straight cricket.
So, in your packaging too, we should talk about. I mean, your packaging is beautiful. Which, for this country, I don't think it's this way for a lot of other countries, but for this country, we're so visually induced. When we see something that we like, that really helps the sale. And you've got beautiful packaging.
Well, I really appreciate that, because the packaging was another thing. You know as well as I do, the marketing and the packaging will break you.
Yep. It's crazy,
but that's
right?
what sells.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, because you have to think, like, when I walk up to a shelf and it says that this is cricket powder, if it looks a certain way, I'm not grabbing the package. But yours, it's just a beautiful package, and there's trust there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you're like, this isn't just a brown. Yeah, it's not like it's just a brown craft plastic windowed bag with a hot stamp on it. This is it's a curated product, and it shows that there's a lot of care. I think that's what it does. It just shows that there's a lot of care put into this. And from the,
and I think people see that. I think they can, once they picked it up, they know that there's care, and it's almost homemade, because it pretty much is. You know what I mean? We still do everything by hand. We don't have no machines yet or nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything is done by hand.
Wow, that's awesome.
We're not, and even our crickets. I mean, we're not automated at all.
So do you advertise that a bit?
No, I don't. So, once in a while, somebody will ask you. I mean, you guys. I said we cook everything by hand.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything's cooked by hand.
Well, it's a really cool. I mean, because it's not, you're past the cottage industry stage at this point, but you're still hands on with this, literally making things. The products that we eat were handmade, which it's a beautiful thing, especially for the market you're selling to.
Yes, and you saw our facility, and our facility was set up that way on purpose. It's got big open windows. We're not trying to hide anything, and anytime anybody comes, I show them the farm.
Right.
I show them where we raise the crickets. We don't hold anything back, and it was a purposely done that way. I mean, I want the customer to feel, that he's not getting,
So where can the public buy your products? Right? Do you have them distributed throughout Western New York, or
just mostly online right now?
Okay, which is smart, dude. Listen, as well as I do too. That's like, you can't go wrong with that. It's more just building that awareness at that point, though.
I still think we have to, because it is a cricket.
Right.
I mean, we can get these stores; they're not going to sell.
Right, because you need somebody to push it, like you've been saying, right?
Exactly. So right now, we'll get the online sales. Once the online sales and our awareness gets there, I know it'll sell itself.
Well, and you've got a worldwide market online, so that's going to speak in and of itself. So you can still sell in these countries just online, right? So you don't. I mean, so that defeats even what I was because I'm pretty old school sometimes. But that's the truth of the matter is, if you have the website, it's more that you don't need the distribution channels into those other markets, because they're going to come to you. It's just more getting the word out into those markets through digital and making sure that they're aware that product is out there.
Exactly. And then once that's out, then I know it'll come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we even talked about, just imagine this, say in a couple years, we're doing all right. You can do a flagship store in Elkville.
Of course.
You could do a flagship store in Buffalo.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Once Elmwood, sure.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You can start doing that and not have to worry about the stores.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I'm not. That's where we still have. There's a lot of work. Because then I would have a person in there that would know crickets, that would be able to answer any question that person would have.
Yeah, because exactly, you just can't throw a kid in there that's just looking for a part-time job. It's got to be somebody who's passionate about the product and is really educated.
Exactly.
About it. Right, and then
if you did flags,
they're your doorway into that world, really.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So, exactly. And
so,
if you start doing,
So now. So the product's available online. Do you have everything that you have in your shop available online? Can you get the cookies and the brownies and the bars?
You can get the cookie. You can get the cookies, and we got the bars, and and the granola. There's only a couple things. Like you've been to my store. We make protein balls. Those are still only at the store.
Yeah.
They're at the store, and we make like a cricket. We call it the cricket bomb, and it's like it's like our keto. It's like our keto Reese's peanut butter cup.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, we sell that. Yeah, that
So,
thing's
so
awesome.
how many products in total do you have right now available? A good dozen or so?
Yeah, at least a dozen.
Okay.
Yeah. And right now we have the oatmeal out, and we have the waffle.
Okay.
Those are our two newest ones, and they are selling like the oatmeal is to die for.
Oh, that's
It's like
great.
we got 22 grams of 22 grams of protein with 1 gram of, I think it's 3 grams of sugar. I can't remember how many calories. Like 300 calories in your oatmeal, your
Wow.
breakfast. Yeah. Our waffle is 190 calories with 16 grams of protein with
Holy cow.
no sugar.
Wow. That's a much better alternative.
Yep.
A standard waffle.
We use all plant-based sweetener. So
Wow.
there's no sugar in our facility at all.
See, see now, look at that's another thing because okay, well, somebody could say, well, okay, I'm eating this waffle with this cricket powder in it, and I'm getting all this protein, and I'm getting these good nutritional values, but then I've got to douse it in sugar. But dude, I am strict on agave, and so there's so many beautiful alternatives to our horrible corn syrup and sugar and white cane sugar, product lines that we have
Yep.
here in this country. That's just a good healthy alternative. You could have that waffle, throw a little agave on it, some strawberries, a little blueberry, and you're good to go, right?
You're good to go, and you feel good, and then crickets it's all 9 aminos, so
Right.
you're satisfied. It's a true protein.
So now the nutritional value on this, like, is this trumping everything else? Yes. Like, there's nothing
Yes.
that's touching that.
There's nothing that'll touch it.
Now, okay, so let's say I purchased the powder. Are there do you have links to recipes? Like, what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I buy it, and you're not gonna come to my house and show me how to make all this stuff. So, is
Right,
there a
right.
resource I can use online somewhere?
We are trying to come up with a cookbook right now, but we don't. So right now we just tell everybody you pretty much gotta. If you Google, you'll find quite a few recipes.
So there are, okay. So it's like anything else. You can probably YouTube it or Google it, and you'll find
Exactly.
plenty of.
There's tons of recipes. Yeah.
And isn't half the fun of it almost just putting it in place of flour and powder,
Especially-
right?
Yeah, especially if you have kids, because
Right.
you can make their pancakes in the morning with protein in it. You can make their waffles with protein. You can, you know what I mean? You can make their cookies with protein. They don't even know what's in there.
And they don't need to know.
They don't need to know.
And maybe at some point you could break the news to them, and they're not even going to care because they've had them 1,000 times and they love them.
And then yes, because we're not getting enough protein. And the other thing is too, the elderly, where they can't chew the beef and chicken. They can still have their cookies. They can still have their smoothies and get their protein level.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge, Nick.
It's huge.
Yeah, that's really big. So, see, this is what I'm saying. This isn't a matter of because your business is already working. It's not a matter of like when you're or if you're going to scale. It's just when you're going to scale, because this is a matter of necessity for a lot of people. It's a matter of logistics for the food industry as well, and the economics of the food industry, and how consolidated you can have a cricket farm, right? And then the diversity of products you can make from that powder. It's just incredible.
Yes, and you saw my facility. It's like 1,200 square foot. We
Yep.
have a storefront, we have a kitchen, and we have the farm, all one building.
Yep.
You could franchise that.
Yeah.
And put it. You could set that in any town in this country and feed that community.
See, that's huge. That's so huge. And that's what I was talking
what I
about. The company Timberfish I work with, his plan is the same thing. And if you get a
Yep.
good 300 or 400 of these type of companies and they start scaling, it'll change the global food industry.
Change the food. We could change the food system. We
Yeah,
could break it down and do it right.
Yeah, because it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a hot mess right
It's
now.
a mess. It is a mess. And the thing is that the farmer that is doing good with his grass-fed beef, he's getting beat up because the store-bought beef, it's just a mess.
Yeah. Well,
It's
a horrible product, and it's meant for mass consumption, and it's not what it used to be.
No. And if we can make such a big difference, you know what I mean?
And you are, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you are now, and you're going to continue
Yep.
to do that over time. So we can go to your website. What's your website?
CRKT.life.
Okay. And so crkt.life. And
Yep.
you get all your products there. And your store is on, what are the two streets? There's Franklin and
Yep, it's 70 Franklin.
70 Franklin, in
Yeah.
beautiful town of Springville. It's just a beautiful facility, and you're awesome. And I love how when somebody comes in, I mean, you're such an evangelist for this, and you have to be, but your
I know
enthusiasm
people.
and your positivity, just like, it's infectious to say the
You
least.
should see it at Elmwood. I get it all the time. It goes,
See?
we want whatever that guy's having because this stuff is.
Well, you're having crickets.
Yeah, I just said it. I don't know. I always wonder why I never quit. You know what I mean?
Well, because it
It's just-
matters, man. And you know that there's a bigger picture here that's bigger than you and bigger than even your company. It's about trying to change mindsets and change the world. And anybody like you is driven. And once you're on that path, there's no getting off it.
No, and people gotta think. They gotta come. They gotta think. I mean, just think about our school, the kids' school lunches. Think about you know what I mean?
It's garbage.
Can you imagine what we could do if they would let us in?
Well,
You know what I mean?
well, you know what? I was just talking to somebody that worked in a school system that's doing something different, and I thought of you, and now I cannot remember. She was. I'll remember it, and I'll send you her information. But they're really progressive, and they're doing like farm to tables, like not just talking it. They're actually doing it. They're doing local source stuff. They're doing super healthy food options. I can't remember what the school, because I met her and she was working at another business, and I kind of was ragging on the school lunch system, and she's like, no, that is not what we do. And then she told me everything that they're doing, and I was like, get out of here. And she's like, well, we just took it upon ourselves. We just bucked the system. But I don't even know how they're doing that, because I know when Jamie Oliver tried doing that in LA, his show got shut down. So
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing either, but God bless her. You know what I mean?
right.
We need more people like her because could we. The thing is, we can make such a difference.
Well, even
You know what I mean?
getting into the elderly living homes, and that's like a big thing too. I almost think, this is just off the top of my head, and I don't know your business, but I would almost think like if you got like a street gorilla team of kids, like the Cornell kids or ag school kids, and they just did it. They do like a team of like 3 people, and they went into the elderly homes, and they went into like schools, they went into like wherever that you would need them to go, because they're they would have to have the education and the passion that you have. But if you had like little street teams, because especially getting the kids, because kids are very flexible and open-minded, they could probably convert a good 10,000 kids over a few years themselves, just getting them into it.
Yeah. So hear me out on this one. So what's your thought about me doing talks, like going to these schools and doing like a TED talk?
I think you should.
I
think that's what you have to.
I mean, yeah, you almost have to, because I had a woman come in the other day with her 2 kids. They've been there before. The kid was saying, he goes, sir, I want to buy some cookies for my classmates.
Right.
He bought like 4 or 5 bags of cookies because he goes, I love them. I want my friends to love them too.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Well, that's what
our
I mean.
next generation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would even think you'd be able to get into like an elementary school or junior high, I mean, any age, because they're going to be more willing to try it. And if you put a cookie in front of a kid, they're going to eat it.
He's going to eat it. He's going to eat it.
Yeah.
But then that class came to my facility, and they all had to have permission slips signed by their parents
Right.
to eat my product. You know what I mean? That's what the world is.
Yeah. Well, that's all it is, man. Nick, it's just a matter of getting that in front of people and getting yourself in front of people. I think doing like a TED Talk, where you had like just even like a little like one of those quick PowerPoint presentations behind you, and
exactly.
you're just evangelizing the beauty of this food, and then you might have samples there, or you could even do like you could even do stuff like you could do a class. There's a lady that runs a Be Healthy. Do you know? It's in Hamburg on Buffalo Street, I think. She would be somebody to hook up with. So a lot of these places, they do these healthy cooking classes.
Right.
And she was an old client of mine from my previous show. She's a super sweet lady. Her husband owns, was it Cha-Cha, the law firm?
Right?
So I'll hook you up with her too. But she does those types of things. She's got a beautiful kitchen in there, and they hold these classes, and that might be another thing you could do too. And dude, honestly, if you get housewives or even stay-at-home dads, you get the person that's staying home and making the food hooked up into this, and you get some Pinterest action going, and you get some Instagrams, and you get some social action on this, and that way that will also take off for you too, because those are the people that are making the food for their families. They're the ones that are doing the shopping, and they're the ones who network within themselves to say, oh my gosh, you know what? And then the first reaction with their friends will be like, oh my God, I would never do that. And then of course they're going to say, no, it's amazing. You got to try it. And there you go.
We have people at Elmwood that said that, dude, we were recommended to come here.
Wow.
I mean, our friends told us to stop. So we want to know what the cricket thing's all about. And that makes us feel awesome.
Yeah.
We had young girls that came, like athletic, like 18, 19, that just loved our product. They come every week and buy.
See? There you go.
It's just, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, people are getting it.
Well, and that's what it is. So the benefits of this far outstrip there's no negative to it, man. There isn't. What's a negative? There is no negative. It's just all up, but you just got to change people's mindsets.
Exactly. Environmentally and healthy. I mean, there's just, you can't argue with me.
So your footprint on this is, what would the comparative be? Do you have a comparative?
We use 1% water. Beef uses like 2,000. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I actually have and the other thing is too, was the biggest one was all the plant people.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's got 3 times more protein than beef. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the thing is, it's a plant-based diet. You know what I mean? Those guys are using so much water. The plant-based uses so much water. You know what I mean?
Well, now it's that is a scarcity. It's becoming it's horrible because we live on a water planet, but it's salt water.
Yep.
So our fresh water is becoming really precious. Did you see what happened in Lake Mead today?
No.
It's getting down to it's getting down to the point where it's there's nothing left. I mean, it's been 35 years, I think, the drought there. So it's all over the news today. But that's what I'm saying. So it's fresh water, and what are you going to use that for?
Yeah.
So that's a really important fact, actually. So you're talking significantly less water, less energy.
Significantly.
Right.
Yep. And our electric bill is the minimal. And I can go up. I can go. You know what I mean? The things that you could do, it just blows my mind. We could take any old building in Buffalo and turn it into a farm.
Right. Well, it's an industry
of
the future. That's what you're looking at here, and that's your only barrier is people's curmudgeonly stuck mindset, just stuck in the past, and it's changing slowly. And you were brilliant enough to say, you know what? Where's the core product here that's going to diversify this, and it's also going to be an easy doorway, and it's not going to be so intimidating. And that was your powder. So.
That powder is our baby. I mean, that's what I wanted. I wanted that. You know what I mean? I'm very proud of that powder. You know what I mean? That should change the world.
Yep. Well, and that's what you need. You just needed that one product that many things can come from, and you have that. So it's just a matter of time, man. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for this episode of the Small Town Western New York Companion Podcast. Thanks for listening, and remember to support the small towns of Western New York in any way you can. They're full of great businesses and people who'd love to see you in their towns. The Small Town Western New York Companion Podcast, the TV series, is a presentation of Discovering Western New York and A.A. Augustine Media Co., and can be found everywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thanks for listening.